One kid killing the parents is a bad seed. Two kids killing the parents is a bad family.
And did he say anything? Did you hear him?
Yeah, he was yelling for me to open up the door. He was saying, "Open the goddamn door now."
And what was your feeling when you heard him and heard the pounding?
I was terrified. My heart was pounding, and I didn't want to open up the door.
What did you think, if anything, had happened? Did you think there had already been a talk with Lyle? Did you think there hadn't been the talk with Lyle? What did you think?
From Dad's reaction, I thought there had been a talk with Lyle.
And could you tell from the way his voice sounded and the pounding whether he was in a good mood, a bad mood, happy, sad,
No, he
angry?
was really upset.
Upset meaning?
He was yelling. He was furious. It sounded furious.
Angry.
Angry.
Now, what did you do after you heard your father yelling and pounding on the door?
He was demanding that I open it, I unlock it, and so I did quietly.
Okay. You unlocked the door?
I just unlocked the lock and went back to the back of my bedroom.
You didn't open the door for him, in other words?
No.
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted to have time to get back into the corner of my bedroom.
And if I might approach, Your Honor. Excuse me. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes. Yes.
And what is that?
That's one of the corners of my bedroom.
And is that the corner you retreated to after you had unlocked the lock on your door?
Yes.
And what was it about being in that corner that led you to go there?
It's just that it was like a good retreat place because the bed and my desk met, and so you couldn't get there very easily.
In other words, there was a narrow space between, the desk is here, is it not?
Yes.
And this is?
My bed.
And was it narrow between the two?
Yes.
Were you expecting something to happen when your dad came through the door?
Yes.
What were you expecting?
I didn't quite know what would happen, but I figured he would attack me in some way or hit me or do something.
Had he hit you before in your life?
Yes.
Had he done other physical things that hurt you when angry?
Yes.
What kind of thing? What was the thing he most typically did when he was angry?
Most typically he slapped me.
And what about pushing your body into objects? Would he do that?
Yeah, he'd throw me a lot.
Throw you a lot?
Yes, he'd throw me into the wall or into the bed or into the desk or into the glass or any place.
He once threw you into a glass door, didn't he?
Yes.
Broke the door?
Shattered the glass.
And then threw you again?
Yeah.
Right through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he came into the room on this occasion, what was the first thing that happened?
He started yelling at me.
Can you give us generally what he was saying?
He was saying that he had told me never to tell Lyle and that he had warned me not to do that, and now he said that Lyle was going to tell everyone and that it was my fault, and now Lyle was going to tell everyone and he was not going to let that happen.
He was not going to let what happen?
He said he wasn't going to let Lyle tell. Well, he didn't say he wasn't going to let Lyle anyone. He just said he wasn't going to let that happen. Lyle telling anyone.
Now, you say he said he told you in the past what?
Well, he had told me never, ever to tell anyone.
And did he ever tell you what the consequence would be of telling anyone?
He would kill me.
And did he seem the way he had sounded outside the door? Furious, angry?
Seem inside the door?
Yeah, when he was inside, did he look and sound the way you thought he was?
Oh, yeah, he was angry. He was more angry than I had ever seen him. He was angry.
And what did he do after he made these statements to you?
Well, I started saying, no, he's not going to tell anyone, I promise, and he just told me to shut up and just rushed toward me.
And did he come in physical contact with you?
Yeah, he grabbed me as I was trying to get over the desk.
Okay. You were trying to climb over the desk?
Yeah, I was trying to jump over the desk because I just wanted to get away from him at that point.
And he somehow stopped you from jumping over the desk and did what?
Well, he grabbed me and threw me on the bed.
Okay. And then did he try to do something to you while on the bed?
Yeah, he was grabbing toward me, and I was able to just to fling my body away and run out the door.
So you got away from him?
Yeah.
And where did you run to?
Downstairs.
And did you go into a particular room downstairs after you got down the stairs?
Yeah, I just ran into the den.
Did you think there was anybody in the den?
Yeah, I thought there might be somebody in the den. The television was on.
And was there, in fact, anybody in the den?
Yes.
Who?
My mom.
What was your mother doing in the den?
She was sitting on the couch watching TV. She just looked over at me.
And what condition were you in when you got into the den? Do you know?
I was crying.
And did she say anything to you? Did she make any comment to you?
Yeah, she said, "What's the matter with you?"
And what did you respond to her when she said that?
Yeah, I said, "No, nothing. You won't understand."
You said...
I said, "No, nothing. You won't understand."
And did she say anything to that?
Yeah, she said something like, "Oh, I understand. I understand a lot more than you think."
And what did you say when you heard... Well, first of all, what did you think when you heard that?
I couldn't... I thought that she was saying that she knew what was happening between Dad and I, but I couldn't... I thought I had it wrong. And so I said, what do you mean? What do you mean you understand? What do you understand? And I couldn't understand.
And what did she say?
Well, she said, "Oh, I know. I've always known. You think I'm stupid?" She was real snide. I think she was either... I think she had been drinking and was real...
Sarcastic?
Yeah.
Was that something that your mother was from time to time, sarcastic?
Yes.
So what did you say when she said she knew all along she wasn't stupid?
I didn't know what to say. I just said, "I hate you." I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what she was saying.
All you said was, "I hate you."
I said, "I hate you."
And what did you do?
I ran out the back door.
And what did your mother do?
She immediately got up and started chasing me outside.
Was she saying anything?
Yeah, she was saying, "Get back here, you bastard. Don't ever say that to me. How dare you say that to me?"
Now, what was she referring to? Did you know what to your saying, "I hate you"? Is that what she was referring to?
Yeah, that's what she was angry at. She
was angry at this point.
Yeah, well, she was... I don't understand the mood she was in before I even got to the room. She was in a mood that she had been in a lot, but she was angry at that point.
Okay, when she said whatever she said to you sarcastically, she didn't seem angry then.
No.
But when you said, "I hate you," then she got angry.
Yes.
Now, had you heard your mother tell you or your brother, "I hate you," over the course of your life?
Yeah.
Had she said it once, twice?
No, she said it often.
So were you saying back to her what she had said to you?
Objection sustained.
So was this phrase, "I hate you," was this something that you heard over the course of your life?
Yes.
Had you ever said it to your mother before?
No.
Did you hate your mother, Mr. Menendez?
No, I didn't hate my
If
mother.
you could speak up, it would help.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you hate your mother?
No.
Were you expecting her to say what she said to you in the den?
No, not at all.
And where did you go when you ran out of the den?
I ran to the guest house.
And did your mother follow you?
Yes, she chased after me.
And did what she had said affect you?
Well, of course. What do you mean,
Okay.
did it affect me? How do you mean?
Emotionally.
Yes.
And were you upset?
Yes.
When you got to the guest house, did you call out to your brother?
Yes.
And do you remember what it was, what the first thing was that you said to
I
him?
just said she knows, Mom knows.
And did there then ensue an argument between you and your mother and your brother?
Sustained.
What happened next in the guest house?
Mom came up the stairs right after me, and she said, "Get back." She was still yelling at me.
Okay,
And
without getting into the words about it, okay? Was there conversation in the guest house?
yes,
And how would you characterize it? Was it friendly? Was it angry? Was it a discussion? Was it an argument?
it was an angry argument between Lyle and Mom.
And what were you doing while this argument was going on between Lyle and Mom?
I was standing behind Lyle, just sort of watching.
Is that a position you had taken in the past in that family?
Yes,
Would you stand behind Lyle while he was fighting your battles?
yeah, I used to stand behind Lyle a lot. That's pretty much my fixed position.
All right, the objection is sustained, the answer is stricken, and we'd ask the witness also to speak up.
Now, were there occasions other than this one when your brother was speaking on your behalf and you were standing behind him?
Yes, pretty.
Wait for a question, okay?
Sorry.
Do you remember when? When these other occasions
Yes.
were? Okay. And can you tell us?
That happened all of my life,
Starting at what age?
from the time I can remember.
Have you heard yourself described in this trial, Mr. Menendez, as a fearful, shy child?
Yes,
Were you?
yes.
And did you think your brother was like you or dissimilar to you in that regard?
He was braver than me. I'm not sure why, but he was.
And did you, when you were younger, say around the age of 13, 14, seek out his help when you were afraid?
Yes,
And was that help with respect to your parents?
yes,
And did he help you?
yes. I mean, it depended on what was happening. But
What do you mean by that? Whether he was able to help you depended on what was happening?
whether or not he'd interfere, he wouldn't interfere with me if it was Dad doing something to me or being violent to me or yelling at me. He really wouldn't get involved. Sometimes he'd try to help me if I'm just having an argument at the dinner table or something. But other than that, he didn't interfere too much.
Well, was it, in your opinion, was it safe for him to interfere when your father was being violent or angry?
I wouldn't have wanted to interfere.
Well, my question was...
No, it wasn't. It wasn't safe.
Now, what was the subject matter of the argument between your mother and your brother in the guest house Thursday night?
Her knowing about Dad and I.
Did she deny it?
No.
Did she acknowledge knowing?
Yes.
And did Lyle say anything about what she did or didn't do with respect to what she knew?
I'll ask her how could she not help me? How could she not intervene or stop it? Something along those lines.
And what did she say in response to that?
She said that no one ever helped her, and that why should she help me? That no one ever helped her in her life, and went on.
Okay. And was this something you had ever heard before from your mother, that no one ever helped her?
Yes.
Mr. Menendez, at this point, in August of 1989, did you feel that your mother had a hard time in life?
She had a miserable life.
And how did you feel about her in regards to that?
In regards to that, I felt sorry for her.
And how long had you felt sorry for her?
Since the time I can remember.
And did you feel at all responsible for her having a miserable life?
Yeah,
Did she ever tell you you were responsible?
sometimes.
And did you believe her?
Yes.
And how would she tell you that you were responsible? What did she say you had done?
She would say that I was born, but she would say that I was the problem in her life and that Lyle and I had ruined her life and she wanted to do other things, but then she had children and it just destroyed what she wanted to do in her life.
And how did that make you feel?
Just real sad.
So you felt sorry for her because of that?
I felt sorry for her for that and a lot of other reasons.
On this night, Thursday night, after you found out that she had known what had happened to you, when she was saying, "No one ever helped me in my life," did you feel sorry for her then?
No.
Over the course of the preceding few months, did you have some perception that your mother had some kind of knowledge about you?
Yes.
And would you tell us what it was you were seeing or hearing or knowing?
Just that she had this power, it seemed, this magic thing, that she always knew whatever I was doing or wherever I was going and pretty much everything about me that I didn't understand.
Were you prone to did you from time to time keep a diary?
Yes.
And where ordinarily did you keep your diary?
In my bedroom.
And were you having some problems that year with your diary?
Yeah, I kept losing them.
You lost them?
They just were disappearing on me. I didn't know what was happening.
Were you taking them out of the house?
No.
Did you take them to school?
No.
Did you take them to tennis practice?
No.
But were you having trouble finding them?
Yes.
Did it ever occur to you that your mother might have been taking your diaries?
No.
Were there things that your mother seemed to know that were not in your diaries?
Yes.
What kinds of things?
Just where I was playing tennis, or if a day I wasn't going to go to school to play tennis, or this girl that I liked, where she lived, who she was even, and just different things that I never told her about and she couldn't have known, and she knew.
She knew them?
Yeah.
She'd make remarks to you that told you that she knew them?
Yes.
Did you have any idea how it was that she knew these things that you weren't telling her?
No, I had no idea. It was really strange to me.
Did it make her seem strange to you?
Yeah, well, a lot of things made her seem strange to me, but this, all that she knew, was really weird. It was different.
Now, over the course of several months before this Thursday night, had there also been discussion about your mother poisoning the family?
Well, there hadn't been too much discussion about it, but that's what she had said.
She said that?
Yeah.
Did your father ever tell you that she was likely to do that or might do that?
Yes.
And did that develop any sense of fear in you about your mother?
Sort of. I had a lot of fear about my mother.
Well, let's talk first about the poisoning thing. Were you afraid of her because of that?
Partly.
Were you afraid of her because she seemed to have magical knowledge?
Partly.
And were there other reasons why you were afraid of her?
Yes.
And what did those have to do with?
Just the fact that she was real moody and she would change from one mood to another. She would be in a normal state, and then she would just start yelling and throwing her arms around and throwing things, and then she would switch back to her other mood.
So, did you know what... I'm sorry, go ahead.
She would disappear a lot, I didn't know where she was going.
Well, but my question was, why did that make you afraid?
Because she was unpredictable.
Were you afraid of her being angry? Were you afraid of her hurting you? Were you afraid of her hurting herself? What was the nature of your fear before Thursday night?
Basically those two, afraid of her hurting herself, and from all the suicide letters and her talking about how she didn't want to be
And
alive.
what else?
And her afraid of hurting me.
Now, when you found out on Thursday that she knew what had been happening to you, how did that, if at all, influence the way you felt about or thought about your mother?
I'm sorry.
Did you not hear?
No, I
Okay,
didn't.
we'll do it again. You learned on Thursday night for the first time that your mother knew what your father had been doing to you.
Yes.
And over the years, Mr. Menendez, from when you were 6 until you were 18, did your mother ever do anything to interfere with your father's sexual molestation of you?
No.
Did she ever come into a room when he was there doing it to you?
No.
Did she ever ask you why you were crying, if you cried afterwards?
No.
Did she ever do anything to help?
No.
And over the course of all of those years, did you believe she was ignorant of it?
Yes.
Now, on this Thursday night, you find out she knew.
Yes.
How does that make you feel about her?
You asking in the present tense or at the time?
At the time, Your Honor. At the time.
It made me real confused. It made me really angry. It made me feel like she knew all the time and she never helped me and that she betrayed me. It made me, I can't describe how it made me feel.
Did it make you wonder if you knew her?
No, I thought I didn't know her.
Objection overruled.
Had you always thought you didn't know her, or was this the thought that night?
That was a thought that night.
That you didn't know who she was?
I didn't know who she was.
And was that at all frightening?
That was very scary. Just the fact that she knew and she never did anything was scary.
Now, at some point, did the argument between your mother and your brother end?
Yes.
And did she leave the guest house?
Yes.
And then did you have a discussion with your brother?
Yes.
And do you recall the first thing that came up in the discussion with your brother?
Yes.
What was that?
I asked him what in the world was going on. What is happening? Why all this was happening?
Okay, were you trying to find out something?
Yeah, I asked him
particular?
how his talk with Dad went and why Dad was so angry. I told him that Dad was angry. And
Okay, well, slow down for a second, okay? You asked him, why was this happening?
yes.
Did you also tell him anything about what had happened to you?
Not yet.
Okay, so first you want to know what the conversation was like?
Yes.
And do you at some point tell him that your father was angry and had demonstrated his anger against you in the bedroom?
Yes, he wanted to know before anything. He wanted to know what had just happened.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out, okay? What was the first part of the conversation? Was it Lyle trying to find out why are you and Mom running to the guest house, or was it you trying to find out what happened with Dad?
Well, it was me trying to find out what happened with Dad, and Lyle saying, no, first tell me about what happened with me.
Okay, so did you tell him what had happened with you?
Yes.
And did you tell him about your conversation with your mother?
Yes.
Okay, and then where did your conversation with your brother go?
He told me about his conversation. He told me about what happened with Dad.